married to. That's Eucharist. When my mother wipes the toothpaste off of my father's trousers, it is a liturgical act. Now, Dorothy Stang, her liturgical act was much more dramatic. She knew that she had been listed on the death list. The thing is that in the Amazon, we have this it's the largest ecological forest region in the world. The acreage that is lost every day is humongous because of logging and ranching. And I have to say this, and it's not easy for me to say because I'm not pointing a finger out like this. I'm going like this. One of the biggest causes of the ranching, it's cattle ranching, is because North America loves beef. We're the beef eaters, and Brazil has a huge economy of exporting the beef to us because we eat it. And frankly, if we were eating less beef in North America, that would affect what's happening down there, but we're not. It's a big thing for us. It is increasing in other parts of the world. One of the things I've been reading recently that, again, I'm not pointing fingers, I'm saying as a human community we must continue to look and talk to one another about this. But with the changes in China and China's rapid move now economically, the request of ordinary Chinese people that their meal at night be beef has increased a whole bunch. Because beef represents to them the ideal of an industrialized country that's economically very secure. Beef is what you eat. So there were sections of the land in the Amazon that the Brazilian government in years prior had given over. Sometimes acreage would be 250,000 acres would be given to one wealthy family, and you could do with it what you wanted. So if you wanted to ranch it, or if you wanted to plant soybeans, is another huge crop. But to do that, you have to go in and you have to slash and burn. You have to go in and just cut down, burn all the trees out, plant grass, and do it. A point came then when the Brazilian government realized that they were destroying the Amazon. That was not good. They also realized that there were thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of impoverished people living in urban areas in Brazil where there was no way they could ever make a living or feed themselves because it was too crowded. So they put in place a legal process whereby you could migrate to the Amazon, set up 250 acres, a 250-acre plot, and the government would give you a deed for it. If you would stay there for 5 years and farm in a sustainable way, farm enough to support yourself and your family, the deed would be yours in 5 years. But what happened was, in doing that, it's a great idea, and there were hundreds of thousands of people moved. That is actually when Dorothy moved. She was in an urban area. Some of the people said, we're going to go to the Amazon. She said, I'm going to go with these people because I will continue. We will continue the catechesis. We will continue the study of Scripture. We'll continue the small group work. But I was raised as a sustainable farmer. She knew how to do sustainable farming. The people from the city did not know. She says, I'll go and we'll do this together. As they went into the Amazon regions, and this was not just for many stretches of the region this is happening, but the government itself and the offices in charge of papers and forms and were not doing the job they needed to do. So sections of land already given by the government previously to somebody, 250,000 acres given to your family, that was never recorded. Now, your family moves in, takes 250 acres. His family comes over and says, it's ours. Where's the deed? But the government promised you could do this and have the deed. Some of the terrible things going on were that your family would have been, his family would have just said, let him do it for 5 years. And what you did in those 5 years was you cleared part of that land and were growing things. You cared for that. It was in good shape now. And when the 5 years ended and the deed should come to you, his family now shows up and says, you know what? This is not your land. It's our land. It's been our land for 2 generations. And ran you off, would run you off. That's going on over and over and over again. So a poor family does all this work, and the rich family lets you do the work, because as soon as it's done, they know exactly what they're going to do. Dorothy is like, we're going to get the deeds. I'm going to teach you. We're going to go into town together. We're going to go to City Hall together. And I'm going to teach you how to walk in there with the papers that we need and get your deed. This is revolutionary work.
Yes.
Yes. But Dorothy said, the dignity of the people, the rights of every human being to food, clothing, a home, and education. This is God's will. In the course of her lifetime, the course of the 20 years she was really working in the Amazon, she actually established almost 32 communities, compounds of sustainable farming, where it was wonderful. She kept saying, you know what, you got run off after 5 years. Here's what we got to do. You're going to get together with this family and this family and this family. We're going to become a community. We're all going to work our plots, but we're going to meet every day. We're going to pray. We're going to study Scripture. We're going to build a school. We're going to build a chapel. And when it's time for you to build a house, we're all going to build them together. And she did that. There were 32 compounds like that, of this community living based on a faith life. And then what would happen over and over again, the ranchers, they would run 1,000 head of cattle through the compound. Just turn them loose and run them through. Every house torn down, every plot of garden destroyed, over and over and over again. And Dorothy would come back. She'd say, first thing as we all gather, first thing everyone is to meet at the compound. We will weep. We will hold one another, and then we'll stand in a circle and pray. And tomorrow we start rebuilding. This is your land. We have the deeds. Now the farmers, the loggers and the ranchers did this. They were clever. They would say, well, we have the deeds. And they actually have this system. You take a piece of paper and you make it look like a deed. But you just did it last week. You put it in a box and you get some crickets. And you close crickets in the box and just leave it. Because in a while, the detritus from the crickets will cause this deed to be all yellowed and curled up, and it will look old. This is what they're doing. There's actually, I can't say it in Portuguese. It's called cricket papers. These are cricket deeds, because that's what they use the crickets in. And they would go to the courthouse and say, here, I have the deed. It proves the land is really mine. Now, they were smart to do that, but actually, Dorothy said sometimes they weren't so smart, because some of these cricket deeds were signed with ballpoint pens, which had not been invented at the time. You know, so I'm only pointing out the kind of thing that Dorothy was up against, that the persistence of loggers and ranchers, for the sake of the money they were making, to continue to run the poorest of the poor off. And we're talking about an expanse of land where there's room, there's plenty of room. There's room to do some ranching, some logging that is controlled and right. Now, Dorothy, as I said, knew that the time of her death was going to come. When she came home that summer of 2004, she said, there are lists of people, names have been drawn up by the loggers and ranchers of people they intend to eliminate. There have already been, over the course of the 20 years, 700 people have been murdered. These are just ordinary farmers murdered. And she said, I'm on the list. Irma Dorothea is on the list.